Will you please now welcome the godfather of the Washington News Council, the one truly responsible for this evening and for all the work of the News Council. Please welcome the Executive Director, Mr. John Hamer. John.
Thank you very much, Mike. Welcome, everyone, to the Washington News Council's 7th Annual Gridiron West Dinner. For those of you who have been with us in years past, you know you're going to have a great time tonight. For you first-timers, you have a real treat in store. First, I want to again thank Clayton Park on the violin, business editor of the King County Journal and a media member of the Washington News Council, for that wonderful violin solo. We thought that music from Fiddler on the Roof would be especially appropriate tonight. After all, it's about a poor family living from hand to mouth, struggling to make ends meet. Perfect. I want to thank Bob Utter, not only for delivering the invocation, but serving as chairman of the Washington News Council for the past 7 years. Bob did a terrific job, but early this year he told us he was going to have to step down, so we began the search for his successor. And I want to introduce you to her tonight. We found an absolutely great person to fill Bob's shoes. Karen Seinfeld, former Chief Presiding Judge of the Washington State Court of Appeals. Karen, would you stand and be recognized just for a minute? Let's give Karen a big hand. This is her first News Council event. We welcome her on board. I also want to thank Cindy Zender, president of TVW, who's also a media member of the News Council. TVW is filming this event tonight, and Cindy wanted me to tell you that it's going to be broadcast this Friday night at 8 p.m. on TVW, so you can tell all your friends who might have missed it, they can watch it then. And also, in a special treat, we have KUOW recording tonight's event. Ken Vincent is here. They're going to be rebroadcasting it sometime in the next few weeks. Now, let me say just a few words about our toastees, Bill Gates Sr. and Mimi Gardner Gates. The Washington News Council would literally not be here without Bill Sr. He's one of the original members of the council, was one of our most active members. Whenever I needed advice and counsel, Bill was always there. And not only that, but he approved a 3-year startup grant for the News Council and then extended it for another 3 years without our even asking. So, Bill, thank you. But Bill always said that the grant would be running out and we had to diversify our funding. A year ago, we got our last check. So I went to Bill and I said, you know, I have an idea for diversifying our funding. We'd like to toast you at our annual Gridiron dinner. Well, Bill has been to nearly all of our past 6 dinners, and despite that fact, he said, okay. And we had a backup plan. We said, we'd really like to make this a family affair, so how about if we toast you and Mimi together? He said, I'll ask her. She said, okay, too. Mimi has obviously not been to our previous dinners. But we're extremely grateful and honored to have Bill and Mimi here tonight, as well as the 3 children, Bill, Libby, and Christy. You will be hearing from them a little later, and believe me, you don't want to miss that. As for diversifying our funding, Bill, we're trying. We have lots of diverse ways for this diverse audience to help us out tonight. First of all, in the middle of every table, you will see these wonderful Hammering Man miniatures that we're using for centerpieces. You can own one of these tonight. These are a limited edition series of 70 only, made under the personal supervision of the artist, Jonathan Borofsky, to help honor Mimi and Bill. And right now, we'd like to present Bill and Mimi with number 1 in the series of 70, which Jonathan Borofsky wanted us to do. Eden McPherson of La Paloma Arts, which manufactured these wonderful centerpieces and also made the 60-foot-high Hammering Man in front of the Seattle Art Museum, which, by the way, has anybody noticed its arm is in a sling? The real one on First Avenue in front of Sam, its arm is in a sling. So get one of these. These are intact. Eden, would you bring number 1 out of 70 up and present it to Bill and Mimi? We really appreciate your doing this. And I want to thank a wonderful group of people who offered to help us underwrite the costs of making these centerpieces by signing up early at the guaranteed bid price. Lynn and Jerry Grinstein, Susan and Jeff Brotman, Janet Ketchum, Linda and Carrie Killinger, Betty and Dick Hedreen, Bill and Sally Newcomb, Linda Nordstrom, Faye and Herman Sarkowski, John and Mary Shirley, Jenny and Bagley Wright, Ann Wyckoff and Bob Arnold. They all get the low numbers in this series. Lynn Grinstein, I want to especially thank you for bringing this great group of people together. These are all members of Seattle Art Museum's Board of Trustees and just wanted us to help honor Mimi and Bill in this way. So all you other folks who are interested in Hammering Man, grab one of those yellow bid sheets and get your bid in. We only have 40-some of them left. The guaranteed price, $500. If you want to guarantee one, sign the yellow bid sheet now and hold it up, please. One of our volunteers, we have some in Hammering Man t-shirts, will come around and pick it up. So if you want a guaranteed bid, Hammering Man, please sign your bid sheet now, hold it up, wave it in the air, and you got one. After that, we'll be collecting other bids. Sign the bid, put it in the envelope on the table. We'll be collecting those just a little later, but bidding is going to close a little after 7:30, right after we thank our table sponsors. So hurry. We also want to urge all of you to join the Washington News Council tonight. We're a membership organization. You can join tonight at any level. The membership envelopes are on your table. Just fill one out, and you will also be eligible for a drawing tonight to win one night at the new Westin Hotel in Lincoln Square in Bellevue, which just opened a week or so ago. If you are already a member of the News Council, please renew your membership tonight, and you'll be eligible for that drawing. Just put your name in that envelope, give it to one of our volunteers. And, very important, if you'd like to support the News Council in a very special way, please sign the blue sheet in the envelope to join 100 Friends of the Washington News Council. This is a group of people who pledged to donate $1,000 a year for 3 years, and that includes 2 tickets each of those 3 years to our Gridiron West dinner. We have a lot of friends already. We'd love to have more. Join 100 Friends. Plus, we have 4 terrific raffle prizes to give away at the end of this evening. We're selling raffle tickets all during the evening until almost the end of the dinner. $10 a piece, 3 for $20, 4 prizes. Listen to these prizes. First raffle item, a night at the Edgewater on Seattle's waterfront with dinner for 2 at the 6-7 restaurant, donated by Noble House Hotels, value $500. Raffle item number 2, 2 nights at Noble House's Paradise Point Resort and Spa in San Diego, dinner at the Baleen restaurant there. I want to thank Scott Bokey and Carl Kruger of Noble House Hotels who are here tonight for those donations. Thanks, Noble House Hotels. Plus, 2 round trip tickets on Alaska Airlines from Seattle to San Diego are part of that Paradise Point package. Thanks to Bill McKay of Alaska Airlines. And finally, the last 2 and most valuable, in fact, priceless items. Lunch for 4 people with Mimi Gardner Gates at Seattle Art Museum and a hard hat tour of the new wing. You'll arrange the time and day. Please bid on that. That's going to be a priceless opportunity. And finally, lunch for 4 with Bill Sr. at the Gates Foundation and a tour of the Foundation's offices. Again, absolutely priceless. So, our volunteers are going to be selling raffle tickets till about 8:45. Buy early, buy many. Get your Hammering Man bids in. Join the News Council. Join 100 Friends. Buy tickets. Bill, are we diversifying enough here? Enjoy your dinners, everybody. We'll be back in a little while. Thank you.
As co-chairs of this year's Gridiron West dinner, Stan and I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. But first, I have an important announcement. Bidding on the wonderful Hammering Man at the center of your table closes when Stan and I finish, which will be about 5 minutes. So please now, if you haven't already done so, take your bid and fill it in. We encourage you to bid an odd number so we won't have tie bids. And don't forget to give us your purchase information. Thank you.
And I wanted to say on behalf of Symetra Financial, this is just a great honor to be able to be involved with this event. But with regard to the hammering then, though, put your bid in one of the envelopes on the table, hand it to one of our volunteers who are running around, and at the end of the evening, check the tables in the hallway as you leave and see if you were a successful bidder. If you were, your hammering man, your very own, will be in a white shopping bag with your name on the blue tag, and if you weren't, we'll shred your bid and your credit card number for you.
So now, continue to enjoy your dinner, but we want to give special thanks to our sponsors and to others who have helped make this evening possible.
Well, first we want to thank our philanthropic table sponsors, of course the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, King County Journal Newspapers, Microsoft, Bill and Sally Newcomb, Symetra Financial, close to my heart, Washington Mutual, and Angela Wright and Ann Wyckoff.
We'd also like to thank, yes, a round of applause for all of them. Now we'd like to thank our artistic sponsors, Boeing, Costco, Jane and David Davis, Bruce and Jolene McCaw, PEMCO, Hunter Simpson, and the University of Washington Foundation and the Board of Regents.
And now for our cultural table sponsors, the Gallatin Group, and then a group called Just the Neighbors from Laurelhurst. Primera Blue Cross, Puget Sound Energy, Sandy Schofield and John Ketchen, and Weyerhaeuser.
Yes, thank you all. Next, our civic sponsors. Arts Fund, Dr. Richard and Edwina Baxter, Chris and Cynthia Bailey, the Benaroya Company, Daniel J. Evans School of Public Affairs.
And continuing with our civic table sponsors, the Fremont Dock Company, the Gorton Legacy Group, the Keller Group, Grant Larson, and Linden Inc.
Also continuing, Noble House Hotels, the Port of Seattle, Preston Gates and Ellis, Rocky Hill and Knowlton, Herman and Faye Sarkowski.
And the Seattle Parks Foundation, the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, Stephen Silla, Jim and Fawn Spady, and the Technology Alliance.
The University of Law School, Robert and Betty Utter, I'm sorry. Vulcan, the Washington State Farm Bureau, and the YWCA.
And of course, a special appreciation to our own Alaska Airlines for providing 2 round-trip tickets to San Diego for our raffle drawing. Be sure to buy some raffle tickets tonight. I think some people are going through the area right now selling raffle tickets. What is that, 1 for $10 and 3 for $20? What a great deal.
It is a great deal. And Jonathan Borowski for the wonderful hammering men that are on your table. Remember, bidding closes in less than 2 minutes, so get your bid in now.
And of course, thanks to the Chateau Saint Michel Winery, I'm glad I got to say the French stuff, for the fabulous wines that you're enjoying tonight.
Larry Calley and Ken Jones for the great video that you'll see in just a little bit. Preston Gates and Ellis for helping underwrite the cost of the video.
And of course, we love to see his cartoons, unless you're on the other political side. And the PI, David Horsey of the Seattle PI, this marvelous drawing of Bill and Mimi that was on our invitation and on our printed program.
And Microsoft for hosting 2 tables in our private reception and letting Mike Egan, I don't know where he went, be our MC again this year.
And I think we're going to mention Noble House Hotels for the Paradise Point and the Edgewater raffle packages. And just in case I missed it, did I say something about the raffle tickets? They're 1 for $10 and 3 for $20.
And Stan's company, Symetra Financial, for the many hours of in-kind help and the great volunteers that they have supplied us with for this evening. Thank you, Stan.
Well, thank you. It has been an extra special pleasure. This is such a tremendous event to be involved with an extra special thanks to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for all their help with this event, and especially for Bill Gates Sr. for agreeing to be toasted and roasted tonight.
And the Seattle Art Museum for all their help, and of course to Mimi Gardner Gates for also agreeing to be toasted tonight.
So now, is this the time? The bidding on the hammering man, the centerpieces? Going once, going twice? It is officially over. So with that, we'll turn things back over to our own Mike Egan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Stan. Now, to recognize our entire News Council, let's bring back to the stage their director, Mr. John Hamer, and our News Council president, Mr. Stephen Silla.
Good evening, everyone. We hope you are enjoying your dinner. We have an amazing program in store for you this evening, and we know it's a weeknight, so we want to keep things moving right along. As president of the News Council, I want to especially thank Bill Sr. for being such a great member of the council. He was always there before everybody else and stayed for the whole meeting. As John Hamer said, he was always here when we needed him, and we really appreciate all of his help.
We'd like to start now by showing you a short video that explains what the Washington News Council is all about. A lot of you may not know who we are and what we do. This video was produced by Ken Jones of KJR Productions and Larry Calley, a former media member of the News Council and longtime King TV man. Ken and Larry, we really want to thank you again for doing this video, which was made possible by a grant from the Ethics and Excellence in Journalism Foundation. Let's roll the video while you're enjoying your desserts. Thanks.
I think the news media is really incredibly biased myself.
Pretty partisan. It's not really focused on the issues. It's focused on whether or not people like someone.
I don't trust a lot of what I hear.
One of my objections to the news media is that they always interpret everything and don't give you facts, and that's what I don't like.
I think they need more people of color reporting the news.
I feel that they frighten us. They're alarmists. They harp on things over and over when I don't think it's necessary, really. As an older person, it's scary.
Those generally negative comments about the news media, television, radio, and newspapers are similar to a majority of responses in a recent survey sponsored by the Washington News Council and the University of Washington School of Public Affairs. Of the 600 Washington residents surveyed, 3 out of 4 said they had become skeptical about the accuracy of what they read or hear on the news.
The Olympian failed to present balancing facts, failed to follow its own ethical guidelines.
For people who feel they've been harmed by inaccurate reporting, there has been little recourse except a costly libel suit.
We are an independent citizens organization.
However, there is now an alternative, a hearing before the Washington News Council.
A Cairo Team 7 investigation exposes a dirty secret.
Public hearings on citizen complaints over news stories about individuals or organizations
In response to these allegations,
is one of the many functions of the Washington News Council. Hearing results may or may not support the complaint. The Washington News Council is made up of some 24 representatives from the media and the public across the state.
Well, an outfit called the Minnesota News Council.
It's modeled after the 30-year-old highly successful Minnesota News Council, which has been featured on 60 Minutes. While there are currently only 2 news councils in the U.S., such councils exist in dozens of countries, including Canada, England, Norway, Israel, and South Africa. The mission of the Washington News Council is to help maintain public trust and confidence in the news media by promoting fairness, accuracy, and balance.
As a newspaper publisher, I support the Washington News Council because it believes, as I do, in the benefits of a fair and free press.
Part of the News Council's mission is to provide an open forum where members of the media and the public can get together face-to-face and engage in discussions of how the news media work.
In addition to complaint hearings, the News Council holds public forums on how events are covered by the news media. From riots and wars to race relations and politics.
You say that the story was misleading. What exactly you are referring to?
The News Council also sponsors education programs, including mock hearings for high school and college journalism students, which focus on ethical issues in the media.
We're going to get things going. We just got a call that 2 of our tables are still on the way. They are stuck on the monorail. And
the council also hosts an annual toast, honoring prominent journalists, politicians, and other citizens. The News Council is a nonprofit organization, and its membership is voluntary. Funding for the News Council is through support from individuals, foundations, corporations, associations, and the media. Members of the public are also invited to join the Washington News Council as associate members. If you'd like to join us or learn more about the Washington News Council, contact us by mail, phone, or visit us online at www.wanewscouncil.org.
And thanks again to all of you for being here for Media Fairness. Now we'd like to introduce the members of the Washington News Council who are here tonight. So as they come onto stage, we're going to call their names, and this is the moment that some people dread most and some people love most in our evening.
Please, just come on up on stage. News Council members, one at a time. We're going to call your names as you come up.
David Schaefer.
David Schaefer, Port of Seattle. Fawn Spady.
Sandy Schofield.
Chuck Grayberg, our man in Spokane. Paula Sellis. John Irby.
Our new chair, Karen Seinfeld.
Eric Lasitas, Seattle Times. Tom Downey, Boeing. Stan Emmert, Symetra. George Cole.
Dr. Richard Baxter.
Everett Billingsley. John Knowlton.
Paula.
Cindy Zender.
Clayton Park, who you heard play the violin earlier.
Steve Boyer, Rocky Hill and Knowlton. Where's Eddie Reed, our past president, who might have the best singing voice of this entire group? Eddie, you volunteered to help us sing tonight. Where are you?
Carver Gayton came up here.
Carver Gayton, okay, snuck up. Carver, great. There's Eddie, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Washington News Council, and we have a special guest, Kathy Sankey. Where's Kathy? Who agreed to help us a little bit tonight. So, Kathy, take it away. Grant maker, make us a grant. Write us a check. Don't say you can't. Grant maker, look at our books. Our funding is growing scant. Grant maker, funding is frail. Write us a check, send it by mail. Grant us a check, we're longing to be a strong 501c3. Make us a grant, for we're longing to be a strong 501c3. Now that's a board of directors. Big hand.
Well, welcome everyone to the 7th annual Gridiron West Dinner. Tonight is a special Gridiron indeed. We are honoring two legends of our community. My and Bill Gattis, I believe. I may be off on that. It's actually pronounced Gattis. I'm sorry. And they don't even look French to me. I'm sorry. I should know that as the MC, like everyone knows this family, okay? Excuse me for not knowing these two. I'm a busy person. I am working 15 hours a day over at Microsoft. I am trying to take some night classes at the UW Law School. If I have any free time, I'm playing softball with the Preston firm or trying to tour the Seattle Art Museum. How in the hell should I know who these two people are, all right? To be honest, the Gates were not our first choice to honor this evening, and I don't want to burst their bubble. The selection process by the News Council was a close one, but we were all set to toast a true legend tonight in King 5 Gardner, Cisco Morris. And he won by just a few votes, but Bill and Mimi used their connections to get this judge over in Chelan County to throw this thing out, and here we are tonight with Bill and Mimi. So let's just make the best of this, all right? There are reasons to celebrate this evening. The elections are over, and I think that deserves a hand. For once, I woke up this morning and did not say, "What did Florida do?" It was nice not to do that. The initiatives, though, are still baffling me. I read the entire voters' pamphlet this year, and I am still utterly confused. I believe I voted to end the gas tax, but only for doctors who smoke on the monorail. Now, that can't be right, can it? I don't know. And every time I'm puzzled by our initiative process, I just look to our neighbors in the South in Oregon, where it's okay to smoke pot, but don't pump your own gas. That process may explain Tanya Harding, I believe. I will also admit that I've been a bit insecure the last 6 months. I'll be in my car, strangers will come up to me at a stoplight, in a parking lot, and just yell at me, "Hey, loser!" My wife finally pointed out to me, she said, "Mike, perhaps it's the Mariners window decal on the back of your car, which is just above your Husky football license plate frame, which is right next to your John Kerry bumper sticker." And I imagine that my I Heart the Monorail t-shirt does not help that much. Now, in some seriousness, this is an extraordinary night. We have over 600 people here tonight, our largest Gridiron dinner ever. Some people must love the Gattises. I don't know, but this is my 6th year as MC, and it's a great honor, though tonight puts me in the precarious spot of having to roast the father of my boss. And I'd like to thank the News Council for inviting my entire family here tonight to see firsthand the end of my once promising career at Microsoft. It's perhaps a good time to tell my mom and dad who are here tonight that my wife Karen and I will be returning to our old bedroom in Puyallup, most likely tomorrow. So thanks to the News Council for that. With that in mind, let's begin tonight's roast by saying that Bill Gates Sr. is perhaps the most handsome man I have ever met in my life. He is certainly our tallest Gridiron honoree ever in the history. His wife, Mimi, is perhaps the brightest person alive in the world today. That should end it for me. Good night, everyone, and thank you all for coming. No, I am told that we did have a small boycott of tonight's dinner. Some of you may have seen on the way in, and one of the protesters came up to me just screaming, "Do you know how many lives Mimi Gardner Gates has destroyed? Hundreds of innocent lives." And I looked at this protester, he had a PETA button, and I said, "Are we talking about trout? Is that right?" And I said, "I think Mimi's a catch and release woman." And sure enough, we went back and forth, and we agreed that we would settle this over at Ivers. So no problem there. I'm sorry if some of you were confronted on the way in. I've been told also to remind you that Jonathan Borowski, as mentioned, has created 70 of these Hammering Man statues. Only about half are left in the bidding. So please place a bid on your table and take one home tonight. I understand, to add to this, that the U.S. Congress is now adopting our own Hammering Man as its new symbol. Always working, just nothing getting done. So it's... I'd actually like to get that Hammering Man on the Husky front line. We need some size over there. I do think we need to warn Bill and Mimi that past Gridiron honorees have not always prospered from this award. I did some research and found that we have toasted 16 honorees through these Gridiron dinners. And of those 16, 7 were public officials who are now no longer in office. Another 5 of the 16 have left the private sector jobs they once held. So this honor can be a bit like discovering King Tut's tomb in a way. The farthest fall, though, of our past honorees has got to be news anchor Jean Anderson. And I'm sorry to say, she is now so desperate for work, she is doing commercials for our public libraries. And it's a sad, sad story. I am confident that tonight's honorees will never stoop that low, and we are thankful for that, okay? Pictures, though, pictures are worth 1,000 words. And we thought we should begin by highlighting these two incredible lives with a brief photo retrospective. So let's start with number 1. And I think this is our first shot of Bill Gates Sr. here. Now, the Museum of History reports that this is our state's oldest surviving nude photo. And apparently there was an older nude photo of Ralph Monroe, but that photo was thankfully destroyed. So, all right, I think the next one, yes, here is Mimi. And this is a look familiar to many of you when asked to give to the Seattle Art Museum. Here is Mimi saying, "Why can't you give just a little bit more?" Makes me very sad. I think the next one, actually, yes, this is Mimi with her look that says, "Thank you for contributing. You've really made my day." All right. We go on now, and I think this next one, yes, we all know Bill Sr. to be very decisive. This is the closest we could come to Bill sitting on the fence. This photo was actually taken, it's interesting, when Bill worked as an understudy for Spanky on the hit TV show The Little Rascals. Little known fact about Bill Sr. I think this is actually Mimi's first entree into the art world. She had designed a line of dolls in her own image. This was the Mini-Me or the Mini-Mimi line of dolls. Okay. Now, here's a great shot of Bill Gates Sr. This is on his first day as partner at Scheidler, McBroom, Gates, and Lucas. Very young-looking partner back then. I think this next one, this is an FBI mugshot of Mimi as she began her killing spree, right here. Now, this next one is Bill Sr. in his first car. Bill told me the car cost $350, and car tabs were just $180 back then. So, now this is the first picture we could find of Bill Sr. out campaigning for the estate tax. So, way ahead of his time back then. Now, Mimi admits that she made some poor financial decisions early in her life. She now regrets selling her young horse she had named Seabiscuit. I think this next one, this is a rare photo of Bill Sr. and the 9th Infantry as they held down the San Juan Islands against the British in the Pig War of 1859. This next one is a bit sad. Mimi admits this was probably her worst prom date. He was very quiet and not much of a dancer. Now, as a fellow Eagle Scout, I just want to prove to Bill that I can still recite the Scout laws, all right? A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And Bill was a member of the famed Troop 511 in Bremerton, and I can tell you, it's tough to be both cheerful and reverent in Bremerton. So, kudos to Eagle Scout Bill. I think this next one, really hard to believe on this next one of Mimi. This is a young debutante, that she would one day grow up to prefer Willie Nelson and hip waders. Hard to believe at that point in her life. And I think the next one is also Mimi at, let's go, I think we went back there. Oh, actually, no, right. This is a photo, I believe. This is Bill giving Mimi her engagement gift on this one. And here we go. This is Mimi at Yale, where she served as University Art Gallery curator for 2 decades. And we're only guessing that as a student, George W. Bush was not a frequent visitor to the art gallery, but I could be off on that. I don't know. This next photo, yeah, I believe this was the photo that inspired Jim Ellis to clean up Lake Washington. This kind of nudity had gone on for so long. Now in this next one, it's great to see Mimi here. And this is in the high fashion world of art. Mimi certainly stands apart here with her fishing vest, and that's a Mongolian salmon, you should all note, all right? And I believe before we turn, the next photo is a great shot of Bill and Mimi with the President of the United States. Wait a minute, wait a moment, here. I think we got these. The next one, I'm sorry, the next picture is Bill with the First Lady of the United States. Hold on here, we are way ahead of ourselves on these. All right, let's just move on to the next one. This is Bill and Mimi. We have not been able to identify the others in the photo, but we will let you know. Well, in all seriousness, we are very blessed to live in a region with neighbors like Bill and Mimi. Their accomplishment is evident both in their backyard and across the world, certainly. And perhaps even more important, though, than their direct impact that benefits all of us today is the impact these honorees will have on generations to come, from future college students who will have access to the universities around here, to future school children who will be enriched by art and culture, to the future of Africa and its children who will simply live because of these people a world away. So if wealth can be measured by the number of lives a person can touch, then tonight we are truly honoring the world's richest family. Will you please help me in welcoming to the stage Bill and Mimi Gates. Well, Bill and Mimi, this night is about you and your family, your tradition of philanthropy and good deeds done, the impact you have had on Seattle and our world. Gridiron veterans know that we have a few traditions of our own, that of toasting our roastees in song and word. So sit back, try to relax while we honor you and yours, donors to the world.
Donors to the world. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But here in our little city of Seattle, you might say we're all donors to the world, all trying to scratch out a modest, simple living without breaking the bank. It isn't easy. You may ask, why do we keep doing this if it's so expensive? We try because the planet is our home. But how do we keep the books balanced? That I can tell you in one word. Tradition! Tradition!
Tradition! Family tradition! 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 Family tradition!
Because of our traditions, we've kept our books balanced for many, many years. Here in Seattle, we have traditions for everything. We never sleep. We hardly eat. We always work. The office never closes. We believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. That's why we favor the estate tax. Now, you may ask, how did this tradition get started? Well, I'll tell you. I don't know. But it is a tradition. And because of our traditions, every one of us knows just who we are and how high we set the bar.
Day and night must give to the impoverished, feed the starving children, tend the sick and poor, and who has to try as a leader of the land to heal the regions torn by war. The Papa, Bill Sr., the Papa, Bill Sr.,
Who knows how to make Seattle's art museum a large museum, a smart museum? When it's time to donate from the heart, you see 'em reaching for their purses and checkbooks. The women, the Mimi, the women, the Mimi.
Who started out at Lakeside School, from Harvard hit the road, who formed a little company and started writing code.
the Son, Bill Jr.,
The Son,
Bill Jr.,
And who'd the family teach while playing at the beach to focus on what matters, community outreach? The daughters, two sisters, the daughters, two sisters. And who knows how to make Seattle's art museum a large museum, a smart museum? When it's time to donate from the heart, you'll see 'em reaching for their purses and checkbooks.
the Papa,
The Mimi, family tradition.
the Papa,
The Mimi,
family tradition, the mission,
education,
nutrition, the Gates Foundation, contraception,
AIDS prevention,
information,
the Gates Foundation.
Well, we were going to begin this evening's toast with Tim Eyman, but he has just called and he is stuck in traffic. So there is some poetic justice, I guess, out there, huh? Well, let's instead begin our toast with two I think we can deem the royalty of the Seattle art world. Susan Brotman comes to us from Hamilton, Montana. She left Big Sky Country, much to our delight, chairing the Pacific Northwest Ballet Foundation and leading efforts to create McCaw Hall. She was a first citizen honoree this year, and I guess Mimi's boss as the president of the board at the Seattle Art Museum. And she is joined by Seattle's arts czar, Mr. Peter Donnelly, a man who came to this town 40 years ago as an intern for the Seattle Rep. He went on to lead the Corporate Council for the Arts, now the Arts Fund, and during his tenure, the fund has doubled and expanded the organizations they support from 20 to over 70. They are Bill Gates' senior-sized shoes to fill next month as Peter steps down from the helm of the Arts Fund. Will you please welcome Susan Brotman and Peter Donnelly.
Mimi Gardner Gates arrived in Seattle in 1994 with her fishing rod, her kayak, and a lot of art books. The search committee was a bit concerned about choosing this single woman from New Haven. Sure, her academic credentials were impressive, with degrees from Stanford and Yale. Her scholarly achievement as a curator, then as director of the Yale University Art Gallery, was outstanding. But how would she face the challenges of life in the Northwest? What clinched her hire and won many friends was her love of fly fishing. There were many tales of Mimi's fishing trips, and Jane Davis seems to be in the middle of most of them. Jane is known to have hooked Mimi in the face on more than one occasion. When Mimi and a prominent group of Seattle women went fly fishing in Mongolia, Their 1950s Soviet helicopter crashed in a swamp. The story sounds like a finale of a survivor. Jane Davis, whose philosophy is to always be properly prepared, pulled out a large bottle of vodka and an institutional size of Kirkland brand duct tape, which was used to patch up the helicopter. Fortunately, Mimi had her trusty GPS system, which enabled a Russian-trained Mongolian Air Force pilot to rescue them. He was sent by the American ambassador to Mongolia. Yes, there is one. He did not want the death of 12 American fisherwomen on his watch. To commemorate the incident, the ambassador then named the area the Valley of 12 Women. As a footnote, it was in that swamp that the conversation began about how the Seattle Art Museum and the Trust for Public Land could partner, leading to the development of the Olympic Sculpture Park. For Mimi, it was all in a day's adventure. A new adventure was about to begin with Big Bill.
This new adventure started much closer to home, just after Mimi had been hired by the museum. Bagley Wright recalled Mimi's first visit to Bagley and Jenny's home in the Highlands. The evening came with one of those rare but nasty snowstorms that we get. What Mimi didn't realize coming from Connecticut was that we Northwesterners are very fragile people. Mimi's a Yankee, and she's used to serious winters. Mimi didn't know that Seattleites have a very narrow temperature tolerance, 45 to 65 degrees. Anything else is a hardship, Mimi. And that the only snow that Seattleites feel is justified has got to be in a 10,000-foot mountain range. Any snow within the city is a hardship and an injustice. Mimi couldn't get her car any closer than the Highlands front gates, so she left it there. She trooped like a stormtrooper, about a mile through the windblown snow, up a long, gradual hill, somewhat comparable to climbing Queen Anne. Just another winter walk for a Yankee. She was not to be deterred. The bonus was, having slogged from the front gates, that she was greeted by another Gates, Bill. Bill was her dinner partner that evening, and so Jenny and Bagley, I think, rightfully laid claim to bringing this couple together.
Once together, Mimi and Bill forged a deal. She would learn to play golf and bridge. He would learn to fish and look beyond pictures of ducks as art. Bill became bold in his collecting of contemporary art, and on his first foray into art auctions at Sotheby's, he was denied a bidding paddle when he tried to convince them that his name was Bill Gates. Fortunately, his friend Janet Ketchum had established credit and let him use her paddle. Bill did take up fly fishing, briefly and with little enthusiasm. I might note that the sight of him in waders is quite spectacular. Mimi does play golf, sometimes enthusiastically, and made a tepid pass at the game of bridge. Some other things you should know about Mimi: she speaks Mandarin Chinese, has traveled the world coach. She loves chocolate-coated gummy bears, her son Casey's music, kayaking, camping, and shopping for the grandchildren. She also loves to give her friends trashy cards and t-shirts and is known to send books from the lusty lady as gifts.
Here's one other thing you should know about Bill, which I can tell you because my relationship with Bill goes back to the days when I was managing the Seattle Repertory Theater and he was on the board. Now, like most board members, I am sure that Bill sometimes brought his young kids to the theater to see a performance. And looking back, I realized what an opportunity I lost. If I had just grabbed those kids and got them interested in theater, Libby might be a costume designer today, Christy could be a lighting technician, and young Bill could be making $600 or $700 a week as an actor. Sometimes. We could have changed the course of history then.
Mimi has, in fact, changed the course of our history and our future. Her most important legacy is her demonstrated passion for art and the power of art to enhance our lives. As well as a great leader, she's a dedicated scholar and educator. She's worked tirelessly to broaden the reach of the museum into the community. She's produced exhibitions of the highest quality, fostered world-class collaborations, and is working to build a legacy for future generations. Mimi, it's no coincidence that Sam is in this extraordinary position after more than a decade of your leadership. It is because of you. We salute you.
The Seattle Art Museum is without question in its most ambitious expansion since it was founded in 1933. Many people have made this possible, but none so much as Mimi. As a matter of fact, she sends a shiver of terror down the back of the funding community when they see her arriving with a hard hat and a slide rule in her hand. Her drive, ambitious commitment, and leadership have motivated all of us. It's an expansion that would make even Donald Trump roll his eyes. First, there's the huge expansion of the downtown museum. Then there's the renovation of the museum at Volunteer Park. And to cap it off, she's grabbed the most valuable remaining chunk of property near the waterfront for a magnificent new sculpture park. There's a rumor that the government is seriously considering sending her to do a full restoration of the Balkans. Go for it, Mimi. To echo what Susan said, let's all take our hats, hard and otherwise, off for the tremendous contribution that both Bill and Mimi have made to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Peter. It's amazing to hear about Mimi and art here in Seattle. It's just so different than the exhibits I'm used to at the Puyallup Art Museum, or PAM, as we call it down there. I just toured an amazing display in Puyallup. It was so great last month, entitled Dogs Playing Pool on Velvet, which was tremendous. And I'm very excited about a never-before-seen exhibit coming to the PAM next year. It's called Early 21st Century Neon Art of Aurora Avenue. And I know it's not the Szechuan or Tiffany, but it's just hard to beat dogs playing poker. Anyway, Mimi is truly a gifted and dedicated curator. Aesthetically, financially, and politically, she is a true miracle worker.
Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, 3 cheers for Mimi Gardner Gates. Congress she asked to earmark for the sculpture park funds that it appropriates. Triumph of triumphs, miracle of miracles, she persevered and she prevailed.
That Oklahoma senator resented her,
Tried to stop her, but he failed. When she bought that land from UnoCal,
that was a miracle.
What a woman. When they moved the trolley barn for the gal,
that was a miracle too. But of all her miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all is that piece of land by Elliott's Bay. Will be our sculpture park someday. Victory of victories, miracle of miracles, her friends the Shirleys lent a hand, wrote her a check, and miracle of miracles, Mimi bought the land as planned.
When the county gave $1 million.
Yes, that was a miracle.
When Seattle gave $2 million.
Yes, that was a miracle too.
But of all her miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all
is that piece of land by Elliott Bay will be our sculpture park someday.
Well, I need to apologize up front for our next two presenters. Bill and Mimi deserve the best, and sadly, these two coming to the stage have just not done much with their lives. One was a governor, a U.S. senator, university president, and board chair. The other saved Lake Washington, created almost every green space we have in the area, and formed King County Metro. Will you please welcome two slackers in Dan Evans and Jim Ellis.
At a UW Regents meeting in the 1970s, Mary Gates pulled me aside to talk about a real problem. You and Mary Lou are getting all your children through college. Bill and I are beside ourselves. Trey wants to drop out of Harvard to play with his computers. What should we do? Drawing myself up to my full height, and in my infinite wisdom, I answered, "Let him go, Mary. He'll be back in a year." One day, a few years later, Bill Sr. called to say, "Mary and I are beginning to believe that Trey's company is for real. Our law firm is already overcrowded with work for what is fast becoming an international giant. You've got a bunch of good lawyers in your shop, and we've got a huge client. Our young people are talking with your young people. You and I should talk." Needless to say, I jumped at the opportunity. Sure enough, we did talk, and Bill's vision eventually became the largest law office in Seattle. Bill is one of those rare good lawyers who is deeply devoted to family, keenly concerned about the future of the profession, and as having served as both city and state bar presidents. He was a practitioner of collegial decision-making and high ethical standards in each of the organizations he's led. He's a charismatic speaker, a master of the long pause. These apparent losses for words always got the attention of a judge or jury who waited breathlessly for him to recover himself. And when the right pause had occurred, he came on with a strong punchline, and they were listening. The thing that impressed me the most as I'm sitting here this evening is I can't believe that all of this is really happening. Who in my generation, at the time I was in high school, or Bill was in high school, would have believed that we would have in our own town, including in the vicinity of Bellevue, the richest man in the world, the most 100 millionaires, probably the most billionaires. This is just our town. How could this happen? It has happened. And I believe it's happened because of this remarkable, remarkable family. Bill Sr. is a consummate idealist, and this infected all of his family. He's also a terrific competitor, and this affected at least his son Bill. He's a consummate idealist who chaired the United Way campaign with genuine feeling. I knew he was my kind of guy when I saw him personally handing out leaflets at UW football games. He didn't delegate them. Many times he stood quietly alongside as members of his extraordinary family received their well-earned civic honors. He has successively enjoyed happy marriages to two of the strongest and most independent women in town. Following retirement from the practice of law, he accepted the invitation of his son to chair what has become the largest private foundation in the world. A former Ford Foundation trustee, Kermit Gordon, once said, "A great international foundation is like an oasis in a desert world." Bill Sr. has been a creative co-developer and compass carrier for the vision of his brilliant founders, Bill Jr. and Melinda. Their courage in tackling the most difficult of health problems in the most awful deserts of human poverty and disease is both daunting and inspiring. And this awesome effort is a fitting final chapter for Bill Gates Sr.'s exemplary life.
Jim, you've been far too kind. You're indirectly responsible, Bill, for the fact that your son invented, or at least brought to us through his marvelous computer system, Free Cell. Now, how many of you have played Free Cell? An awful lot. It's probably responsible for a decline of 2 or 3 percentage points in American productivity. Just export it to China, will you? And we'll see what happens when they get up on it. But our friend Bill is really, for all of this sort of stuff, a small-town guy. He came from Bremerton. From Bremerton, you know, where there's a law against shucking peanuts in the street. And of course, that's better than Seattle, who has a law still in existence which says you can't carry a concealed weapon more than 6 feet in length. Only the Seattle City Council could come up with that one. Or Trey, think about this one. The state of Washington has a law that says it's illegal to pretend that one's parents are rich. Now, Bill might say that politicians pass these dumb laws, but I think the lawyers are the ones that think them up. You know, it's a little known fact that Bill actually started his practice of law in Bremerton. Yep, he had a small one-man law office, and business was really slow. One day he saw a man heading up the walk toward his office and thought, wow, I'm going to really impress him. So he picked up the phone, and as the guy came in the door, he motioned him to a seat and said, no, we definitely won't settle for less than $1 million. Tell the DA that we're going to appeal. And he went on for a few minutes with that dialogue, finally put the phone down and said, what can I do for you? And the guy said, nothing. I'm here from the phone company. I'm to hook up the phone. Now that's why Bill moved to Seattle, where the phones were already hooked up. But you know, it didn't take long before everybody was answering Bill's phone calls. Of course, now you better be careful. He's running the university's $2 billion campaign. And if you answer the phone, the conversation is likely to go about like this. Hi, this is Bill. What's your net worth? If you tell him, he says, send it in. Bill's not only running the UW campaign, but also the UW Foundation, the Gates Foundation, many, many other activities. He makes the Energizer Bunny look wimpy. He's so up and at 'em every day that I suspect he works on a combination of no-dose and Viagra. But age is creeping up, however. His hearing is fading, but watch out again. He went to the doctor recently and got a new device, and the doc said, now you can hear absolutely 100%. And the doctor called a few days later and said, your family and friends must be pleased at your hearing. And Bill just laughed and he said, nope, I haven't told them yet. I just sit and listen to their conversations. Hell, I've changed my will 3 times already. Well, Bill, it's time to ease up a little when your children start looking middle-aged, when everything that works hurts and everything that doesn't hurt doesn't work. It's when you really look forward to a dull evening. But he won't, and neither will Mimi. He's a giant of a man, determined to leave this place far better than he found it, and I know he will. The University of Washington, children around the world, he and Mimi make a remarkable team. They're extraordinary friends, marvelous leaders, devoted to the community, and we are all blessed by having them in our midst.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Dan. I need to personally thank Jim Ellis. The other night I was trying to demonstrate to my wife the forward thrust movement, and it is a civic movement, right, Jim? I think I had it completely out of context there. I'm sorry, that's an inappropriate joke. I apologize. My mom said, don't use that in front of your boss, and so we have heard a lot tonight about the Gates Foundation. Their work is amazing. And do you think as a young man, Bill Sr. could have imagined where he is today? Let us transport you to a time long ago where a young Bill Gates Sr. muses about his future, a sort of dream sequence.
Dear God, you made many, many poor people. I realize there's no shame in being poor, but it's no great honor either. So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I had a rich son, I would be the proudest papa that the world had ever seen. With a private ATM machine, if I had a wealthy son, I wouldn't have to work hard. I'd go golfing every day and have champagne and caviar, wine and dine and smoke a fine cigar, if I had a very wealthy son.
Wait a minute, wait. You will have a rich son. In fact, he's sitting right here in the front row. He'll be the richest man in the whole world. He'll make you the head of the world's largest foundation just to give away his money.
Oh, really? He'd build a great big house with rooms by the dozen right on the shoreline of the lake. A great big roof with real wooden floors below. There would be great big windows all looking west to watch the tour boats coming by. But they can't see inside, it's not a show.
Wait a minute. He will build a great big house on the lake, and tour boats will go by every day.
Really? He'd fill his yard with chicks and turkeys and geese and ducks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can. And each loud cheep and squawk and honk and quack would sound like a trumpet on the ear, as if to say, here lives a wealthy man.
Well, that ain't gonna happen. Chicks and turkeys and ducks and geese aren't allowed in Medina.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Well, you can't have everything. I see my wife, my Mimi, looking pretty rich herself, working overtime at Sam's. supervising shows to her heart's delight. And I see her having no cares and grinning like a Cheshire. Oh, what a happy mood she's in. Working with the artists day and night. Huh? Not so much, huh? The most important men in town would come to fawn on me. They would ask me to advise them like a William the Wise. If you please, Bill Sr., pardon me, Bill Sr., posing questions that would cross an accountant's eyes. And it doesn't matter if I answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. Oh, if I had a rich son. Ah, if I had a rich son. If I had a rich son. If I had a rich son, I would be the father of the fortune that built Microsoft. With private jets would keep my dreams aloft. If I had a wealthy son.
You will.
I wouldn't have to work hard. I'd give Mimi shopping sprees in Paris. Listen, Lord, I'm down upon my knees. I beseech thee, pretty, pretty please. With my wife, my life would be a breeze. If I had a wealthy son.
Hello, he's sitting right there. The guy is loaded.
Right there.
Hey!
You know, it's amazing. I've been looking at these head tables, and it's incredible. Does everybody in the first two rows have a building named after them? I'm just going down the row here. It's like building, building, hall, auditorium, gallery, performing arts center, building, hall, building. It's amazing up here. I tell you. There's one table here, I just saw, it's the Shirleys, the Brotmans, and the Gerberdings. And the last time I think we were all together at one table, we were playing bingo down in Fife. Do you remember that? We had a great meal after at the Sizzler. It was just a terrific salad bar there. Well, with this kind of crowd, let's hope the raffle tickets are selling. All right, the ticket sales will close soon, so please, if you want to get one, grab one now. And I should mention that beyond the wonderful trips, the lunches that John Hamer mentioned, we have some additional prizes worth noting. Tonight's raffle winners, along with the trips and the lunch, will also have a choice of a 5-year grant from the Gates Foundation or any single piece of art from the Seattle Art Museum. Or a gallon of gas. It's really your choice. So you get to decide. All right? Oh, gosh. All right. Well, folks, it's been so much fun up here. Up next, though, the work of Larry Calley and Ken Jones and the help of the Gates family and the Seattle Art Museum, we present a Bill and Mimi video tribute.
If I were a rich man, Yabba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dum. All day long I biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yabba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dum. If I were a bitty rich, idle man. Little boy at play.
I don't remember growing older. When did they?
When did she get to be a beauty? When did he grow to be so tall?
Wasn't it yesterday when they were small? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years, one season following
The idea is building community. And if you take Bill Gates as an example, he is someone who has loved this community dearly. He is someone who has invested in this community in his blood, sweat, and tears. He is someone who believes in the potential of all human beings.
And I think that he believes that law and the practice of law can be a calling of service. And he's lived his life that way. And I think that he can be a role model for every student who comes to this place.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Night after night in the dark I'm alone, so find me a match of my own.
I want the entire community to have ownership of this museum, and to have people from all parts of the community is so important to me.
Imagine a city where a free downtown park with incredible views, green space, and sculpture.
Sculpture Park, free on the waterfront. To my way of thinking, it embodies what's great about Seattle.
Join us in connecting art to life.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Ken, for that. It's interesting they had snuck some video of Baywatch in that. I don't know how they did that. David Hasselhoff looked great there. It is now my honor to introduce a trio. 3 kids who came from Camp Cheerio on Hood Canal. 3 who today give back to their communities and have bettered this world in the mold of their parents. Will you please welcome Bill, Libby, and Christy.
Come on, anytime.
If I was a rich man, baby, it's not on. Da 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 da. No. What? It's a tradition in our family that the oldest child always goes first, and we follow in the order of birth. Christy.
Thank you, Trey. Dad, Mimi, as you've just heard, a lot of us spend time thinking about and asking ourselves the question, what if I were someone else?
That's true. So Dad and Mimi, we've thought about what it would be like if we were someone other than who we are.
So, Dad, if I were someone else, say you're a press person, and you were going to a late afternoon meeting with the media, I'd have 2 words of advice. Stay awake.
I can't. Oh, Dad. If I were your golf pro, I'd tell you that not using your woods won't solve the problem with your shot. It's the way you hit the ball.
Dad, if I were your dad, I'd tell you, if you don't want your son to steal your name, then don't give it to him.
And Mimi, if I were your assistant and you asked me to go find something on your desk, I'd pack a lunch.
Dad, this one takes me back a ways. If I were a Washington State ferry attendant watching you walk off the ferry, I'd say, are you missing something? Aren't you the guy who walked off the ferry when it docked in Seattle and left your car riding on the ferry all day long?
Mimi, if I were an audiologist, I'd ask you, what happened on your first date with Dad that made him suddenly consent to wear hearing aids?
We're not old enough. And Mimi, if I were your husband, I'd tell you, what goes around comes around. The man who denies his kids the simple pleasure of having a kitten is destined to live out his golden years with his wife's cats.
Mimi. Mimi, if I were your dentist, I'd tell you the cavities from all the candy you buy the grandkids gives me more security than my 401k.
Mimi, if I were the family historian, I'd tell you that when you ask Dad to go fly fishing, it's a lot like when we used to take him skiing. Only with fly fishing, there's no lodge for him to sit around in.
Dad, if I were Santa Claus, when your daughters ask you what you're getting them for Christmas, don't say an estate tax.
Dad, if I were your son-in-law, I'd tell you when you send pictures home from Africa and the kids ask, who are those ladies in the pictures with Poppy? It's really hard to say sex workers.
Foundation got that.
The foundation table was laughing first.
Mimi, if I were your publicist, I'd tell you, the next time a foreign ambassador who assumes that you're my mother and asks, how old were you when I was born? Don't say 14.
Dad, if I were your grandchildren vacationing with you at Hood Canal, I'd tell you a guy 6'7" can't sneak away in a bumper boat. But Dad, I'm glad I'm not your golf pro or your media person. I'm just glad to be your daughter. You're an inspiration to me every single day about how to live a life with purpose. And still, you have enough capacity for fun to squeeze into that bumper boat and spirit away all by yourself. And Mimi, we're so glad to have you as part of the family. Dad clearly adores you, and you take such great care of him. And what a great grandmother you are. Dad says you've made being the grandfather he wanted to be easy for him. And we agree. Taking the kids, the grandkids, on those marathon trips when they turn 10 is such a great gift. Emmy loved seeing 9 Broadway plays in 8 days. I can't say the same for Dad. And Steve loved the roller coaster ride down the Great Wall of China. Dad, he's sorry your car got stuck. And Mary can't wait to see what's going to happen to Poppy when she takes her trip.
Dad, we both get teased about the fact that I'm a lot like you. Deliberate, determined, precise. That's why I'm your accountant. But I want you to know I'm very proud of every obsessive, compulsive gene that I got from you. The kids told me that now that you're 80, they hope that you're full grown. When they were little, they looked at you and they thought the older a person got, the taller they got. And they really thought that your days of fitting inside the house were numbered. The truth is, you've never stopped growing in all the ways that are most important. And that's why you're such a great role model for both us and the grandkids. Mimi, you're so great with the kids, bringing them gummy bears and books, no matter whose birthday it is. And for the rest of us, you've made yourself a card player, the true mark of a real Gates. Thank you for being a wonderful grandmother.
Mimi, your Chinese New Year's parties for the grandkids are legend. So are the Labor Day plays you help them put on at the canal. Both you and Dad are real factors in the grandchildren's lives and in all our lives. Dad, I'd love to have a recording of your conversation with Rory when he was 2, and you took him to lunch at McDonald's. Were you teaching him fast food etiquette so you could take him to your favorite fine dining place, the Burger Master? Going back, I remember in Boy Scouts that you were always great at coming to pick us up after hikes. You don't like to go on the hikes, but you'd come and pick us up, and our car was always the most popular because you'd buy the best hamburgers for everybody who'd come. I also remember those days at Cheerio where you were the mayor with your energetic leadership, really rallying everybody around. I also remember when Microsoft started being successful, how you started the dialogue about maybe I should start giving, maybe I should start the foundation. You had a few good ideas about some things that could be done, and you offered to help, and that was an absolutely amazing thing. I know you've had the experience a lot of giving your name to someone over the phone and hearing the person ask you, "Are you the real Bill Gates?" Well, the next time that happens, you should say yes. You can tell them that you're all the things the other one strives to be. Thank you.
Great.
Well, I should say that knowing that I would probably get fired tonight, I started working part-time at Burger Master, and I wanted to give Bill my employee uniform, and so Bill, this will get you the employee discount on the combo meal there, and so it's all yours. There you go. It has been an incredible evening.
It's only 2 eggs.
It is finally time, though, for a response or a rebuttal. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bill Gates Sr. and Mimi Gardner Gates.
To be supportive. I must say that it's a little bit daunting that one, so nice, there's so many people here, but it makes one wonder, why do so many people want to come and hear this stuff about all the things that went wrong somewhere?
I want to thank all of you for coming. I'll tell you, it's not easy following these 3 great kids. And it's such an honor being a part of this great family. And what a fun evening. And I'll just say how honored I am to be the spouse of this great guy. When I came to Seattle, I came to be the director of the Seattle Art Museum, to run SAM. And I really had absolutely no thought of a second marriage. However, there was a very strange moment in the interview. At the very end of the interview at SAM, Jane Davis asked me, "Do you have a boyfriend you can't leave behind?" A wildly illegal question. And later, I didn't answer her then, but later in the ladies' room when I did, I said, I have a boyfriend, but it's not serious. She said, "Don't worry about it. We'll find you another one of those." And when I got together with Bill, Jane looked at me and said, "We never thought we'd do so well."
You know, the fact of the matter is that
there are at least half a dozen very active women in this city who take full credit for Mimi and I having gotten together. The fact of the matter is that it happened rather oddly in that she called, said she would like to talk to me about arranging an event at the Seattle Art Museum to recognize Mary. So I went in and met Mimi and talked with her about this event, and we agreed upon a date for it to occur, and I went home and sort of looked forward to seeing her again. And then I got a letter from her that said a different date than the one we'd agreed upon.
And he wrote me a letter. I have never read anything so curt and brusque. Said, it took issue with the date and said, of course, I'm not going to be there. And I really honestly thought that was the last I would ever hear or see of Bill.
Actually, we did smooth that over. We talked on the phone. We worked out this date thing, and as a matter of fact, I went on to ask her if she would like to go to dinner.
And we went to dinner, and I remember well, right after dinner, in driving home, we were conversing in the car, and this was before he had hearing aids. And he put his hand on mine, which I interpreted to be a very affectionate gesture, and responded accordingly. And it was only later that Bill told me he was trying to tell me that he couldn't hear me.
You know, it's really interesting to see how such a really cute little baby could grow up to be such an unimpressive old guy. That was a cute fella. I hardly remember him. Want to stick something in here, or shall I keep going?
Okay. No, I'll tell you, a lot of people have joked about my fishing, and I am passionate about fishing. And in fact, I think, and Susan mentioned it, but the fact that I fish is the reason I'm the director of SAM. And I have a t-shirt, which I'm going to give to Jane Davis, that says, "Ripping Lips Across the West," because she did hook me in the lip. But you go ahead.
Well, fishing is, it's interesting, all these conversations about the things that Mimi was interested in and that I was, and so we could see that we needed to organize this a little bit, as it looked like we were going to get married. So we made this agreement that if she'd play golf with me, I'd go fishing with her. And you know, it's an interesting thing in my life. I'm not really sure I've ever been so totally guilty of a breach of contract in my life.
He owes me big time.
Well, the unfortunate thing that happened is, to start with, the fishing just didn't work for me. The fly was always hooked in the hood of my jacket, and it got so I really preferred to sit on shore. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst was she got better at golf than I am. So
I'm not so sure. I want to mention one of the great highlights when I came to Seattle. And somebody mentioned, I think Susan mentioned Lusty Lady. And I actually had my name on the marquee. On one side it said, "Welcome Art Heads." On the other side it said, "Mimi, we'll see you at Sam. Have an erotic day." And actually it's true.
Dan, I'm sorry, you got it wrong. I haven't bought any no-dos for about 10 years.
Now, I think Dan referred to Bill raising money for the University of Washington. And there was occasion when I remember I expressed my irritation upon learning that Bill was doing some serious money-raising serious money-raising with a major SAM prospect.
You know, and I think that it's probably kind of gotten through down at the office. There was a little hint about it here earlier about the free cell game on Windows. And you know, there was a time when I'd tell my assistant that I was going to close the door and shut my eyes for a little while in the afternoon because I needed a little nap. But I think they've probably figured out by now that about half the time I'm just playing free cell in there.
And Trey mentioned the whole, in I think actually a very moving way, how proud he is of having the same name as his dad. But I will tell you that being married to Bill Gates, you never know what will happen next. And I remember going to the opera and introducing this Bill Gates to the person sitting in the next seat. And I said, "This is Bill Gates." And she said, "Yes, and I'm Minnie Mouse."
You know, I want to say something about Gates and Ellis. This is a long pause. I have had a lot of great things happen to me in my life, but none I feel any better about than having my name associated with that of Jim Ellis. I am very, very proud of that.
Airplane story.
Let me say one other thing that about which I'm serious, and I'm sorry, but you know, I'm very, very proud of my son's success. But one of the things that makes me the very proudest is that he completely agrees with me. There is no business passing all that money on to his kids. But it is true, as Mimi suggests, there are complications that arise from sharing a name with someone as well known as Bill. I had this experience, got on an airplane in Los Angeles not too awfully long ago, and I was shown to my seat by the stewardess, and she had seen my name on the roster, so she spoke my name as she showed me to the seat. And the plane got up, and seat belt sign went off, and this fellow came up from a couple of rows back and squatted down in the aisle, and he said, "Your name is Bill Gates?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You know, my name is Bill Gates too." "Well, that's interesting." He said, "Yes, and isn't it awful what that young man in Seattle has done to us?" Hey, thank you all very much.
Thank you all for coming. And
well, this has been a great evening, but it's not quite over. We have just a few more little things to do, including picking the winners of our wonderful raffle prizes. But first, I want to thank Bill and Mimi again for being such good sports tonight. This was just terrific. I thank all of our toasters, Susan Brotman, Peter Donnelly, Dan Evans, Jim Ellis, Bill, Libby, Christy. Terrific. David Horsey did the drawing on the front of the programs tonight. David is in the back. David Horsey, twice Pulitzer Prize winner, Seattle PI. Let's thank David. 7 years in a row of flying pies. Jonathan Borowski for these wonderful Hammering Man miniatures. We have sold all but, I guess, 10 left. And Mimi, I understand the Seattle Art Museum might be interested in acquiring the remaining miniatures, so we'll talk. The rest of you, check in the hallway right outside as you leave. The white bags of the winning bidders will have your names on the blue tags. Your numbered miniature will be inside. Thank you. I want to quickly thank all of our volunteers from Symetra Financial, Stan Emmert, Sandy Schoolfield, our dinner co-chairs, all the Washington News Council board, our volunteers, Jim Anderson of Cabaret Productions, the man in the back at the control panel who made all this stuff happen. Let's give Jim a big hand. Bonnie Clannon, Erica McDonald, the Gates family who helped with all these wonderful photographs that we had and the video. Larry Cowley, Ken Jones, terrific video. And my staff, Teresa Hunt and Stephanie Bell. We couldn't have done this without you. Please, quick big hand for the staff. You guys are great. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you next year.